Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Today is going to be just a short video. I have been quite unmotivated this week to do much around the house, but at the same time, I'm also trying to gear up and get myself mentally and physically prepared for the big autumn clean that I'm going to be starting to film over the next couple of weeks for you all. So I decided to take a little bit of a break from the house today and do a couple of small jobs in the garden just to take my mind off of everything that needs doing in the house, really. A bit of escapism. So the first thing I'm going to be doing today is plant a couple of nice new rambling roses. We did have a couple of little trees in these pots. I think they're called tamarisk, something like that. And I bought two bare root, and one of them took off and started to do really well, and one of them has really struggled. So I've decided to take them out. I'm going to put them into a pot and see how they do. I probably will take them up to my sister's if they survive. She's got a bit more space. They're lovely little plants, but my plans have changed for the garden a little bit. So we've got this big rose arch, and we have these couple of roses that I'm going to climb up them. So these are David Austin roses. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce them. They have a French name. We had a French colleague, there we go, it is on the screen. We had a French colleague who pronounced it for me, and it sounds beautiful, but I'm not even going to attempt to because I'm going to massacre it. But it's a beautiful kind of apricot, peachy, rambling rose. I ordered these two last week, and I was really very keen to get them into the ground because I don't want them sitting in their pots for too long. They are incredibly healthy looking. There's no sign of disease, there's no sign of aphids or pests, there's no broken limbs. They are in bud, they are ready to go. So I really wanted to get them into the ground as quickly as I possibly could. So I've also put into the hole, you will have seen me doing earlier, and you'll see me doing it with the second one as well, like some kind of root boost powder that I also ordered from David Austin at the same time. Now you can see the difference in the size of the little trees. Like that one, it took it so long to break dormancy. I really thought it was dead for a very long time, and when it did break dormancy, it only had growth on a couple of the limbs. So I'm going to be eliminating that one and just keeping the big one probably in a pot. Like I say, I'll take it up to my sister's if it survives. Even the big one is starting to show some signs of stress, so it might be that they won't make it. If they do, you will see it going up to Raquel's garden soon. They are beautiful flowers. They bloom a gorgeous pink colour in the spring, and they've got this lovely feathery kind of fern-like branch structure to them. They're really beautiful, and I was hoping they'd do well here, but I guess they don't like the pots. So anyway, this is the second rose going in, and some more of the kind of fungus root boost stuff. I'm going to try and grab a link for it because I can't remember offhand what it's called. But you can order it from David Austin when you do order the roses. And I'm putting a little bit of water into the hole as well, just because the soil in these pots is really quite dry. I need definitely next springtime to try and set up a drip irrigation system for the gardens. The gardens have really suffered these last 2 years with a lack of water. I go out every morning and I water everything really well, and it's just not enough. I'm not here in the evening to water again, and I don't want to water in the high sun. So I really need to figure out some kind of drip irrigation system now that we are having these hot, dry spells in England during the summer. You know, it used to get hot in the summer, and we used to have a couple of weeks maybe where it wouldn't rain, but I think we've gone like 3-4 weeks without rain, and it's getting a bit crazy. Lots of things are dying in the garden. So my next job is out in the front garden. I have this pot which is right next to my front door, and in it I have this little evergreen mini conifer thing. I don't actually know the type, it wasn't labelled at the garden centre. And I also have a couple of tree lilies in here, but at this time of year the tree lilies are finished. I don't have any annuals or anything in here, so I thought I would get a little bit of a head start on autumn winter, believe it or not, and pop some nice autumn winter plants in here. So I have this red heuchera. I don't know the type, again it was just labelled at the garden centre heuchera mixed, so I don't know the type, but you can get heucheras in all sorts of beautiful colours, from greens through to reds, oranges, yellows. One of my particular favourites is one called Marmalade, which is like an orangey yellow with little flecks of red. It's absolutely beautiful. I love heucheras, and this will last well into the winter. It will die off and come back again next year. I've also popped in this skimmia with the beautiful red berries. I'm thinking more towards the winter planter here, so when that heuchera dies off I'll probably pop it out into the landscape before it dies off completely, and I'll pop some cyclamen, some I don't know, winter pansies, something like that around it, so this stays nice and festive looking. Now this last plant that I'm putting in is my petunias from my hanging baskets. Again, my hanging baskets have not done very well in the heat. I've not been able to keep them nice and moist. The plants are really suffering. I didn't realise how bad they were until I put them into this pot. I was really considering just pulling them out and tossing them, but I know petunias, I know they do recover well, even though these look really, really bad. I'm gonna give them a go, because I don't want to buy new petunias this late on in the season, late August, because they're only gonna have a couple of months, if that, to grow and start to bloom. I'm better off putting these ones in and kind of grooming them, and then they can reflush again. I do start grooming them here in the video, but I do eventually end up thinking, do you know what, let's just cut them back to the strong growth and let them go again, which is what I end up doing. As you can see, they're really scraggly, they're really dry. I have been doing a lot of research today since I finished filming this of how I can keep the hanging baskets retaining more moisture. So I've got some great ideas for next spring, summer. I will be sharing them with you. There's lots of ways that you can keep the baskets nice and moist. This year, I just dropped the ball. Normally I can keep them fine, but this year I just dropped the ball. I wasn't watering enough. Once a day is not enough in the full sun, 30 odd degrees that we've had here. It's just not enough for these petunias. The hanging baskets that I have in the shade are doing absolutely fine. They're retaining moisture okay. So it's just this one that's in the full sun, excuse me, that I need to pay a little bit more attention to next year. But yeah, I will be sharing that with you when I plant them up in the late spring, early summer next year. Give that all a nice water in. I think in about between 2 and 4 weeks time, those petunias should flush again, no problem. So the last job for today is I want to get on top of my houseplants. Now I've got some, a bromeliad that has put out 2 pups that really needs those pups taken off because it's getting too big for its pot and the mother plant is suffering. I also have a calathea that's put out a pup. I'm really worried about the mother plant, something's wrong with it, so I want to get the pup off so it's not straining it. And then I also have a parlour palm that I need to top the soil up on where it got knocked over. So this bromeliad here is the one that has the 2 pups off of it. It did have 3 pups, one of them died back. I have 2 strong pups left, but as you can see, this plant is very, very root bound and it's very, very dry. My husband picked this up from, I think it was Tesco, and I've just been putting off repotting it, and clearly my own fault, I have left it for too long. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to save the mother plant. So I'm very, very gently prying the root ball apart. I'm very, very gently pulling off the the pups one at a time, and I'm going to pop them into this freshly prepared houseplant soil. All I did with the soil, I tipped it out of the bag, I added a bit of water and popped them into these little pots, and then I'm going to pop each of the pups into its own little pot, and then I'm going to have a little look and see what's going on with the roots of the mother plant, see if she can be saved or not. Normally I would put some rooting hormone on these. They do already have roots, so they should be okay, but I do like to encourage fresh root growth. However, I don't have any hormone at the moment, so they're just going to have to hold their own with the roots that they have, but they're looking good and strong and healthy. So they're going to go into these pots. I'm just going to top them up a little bit more with some of the moist soil, and then they can go into their decorative pots on the windowsill and have the time of their lives, and hopefully they will grow okay. I do have homes already for these two. I have people who want them, so if I can save the mother plant, great. If not, I have the two babies that I can gift to people. So I'm just looking now at the roots of the mother plant. It's not looking good. There is some root rot starting to come in, so I'm not going to try and save it. It's going to be too much, and I have the two babies anyway that I can nurture until they're big enough to gift. So that's the bromeliad taken care of. Next up is my calathea. Now my calathea has been doing really well until very recently. Very recently she started panicking, she put out a flower, she threw out a baby, and her leaves are not doing well. She's kind of stuck in prayer. She's not really releasing those leaves down in the morning, and the leaves are starting to go brown around the edges. Now the moment I took her out of the pot, I knew why. She was sitting in far too much water. Her roots were really wet. So now that I have addressed that, I know to water her a lot less. It's so funny because that bromeliad was so dry and the calathea was so wet. They cannot be on the same watering schedule. So I'll bring down the amount that I need to water the calathea, and I will take up the amount that I need to water the bromeliads. Sometimes you just have to trial and error these things. So I'm taking off some of the very wet soil that's around the calathea roots, and I'm going to mix it into the potting mix that I have, which, although I've put water in, is still quite dry, which will make kind of like a mildly moist, it's a bit like Top Gear, a mildly moist compost that the calathea should be happy in. I have checked the roots for any signs of rot. There's no signs of rot, so she was just having a bit of a sulk where she was sat in the water. But hopefully now she should recover, and I will amend my watering schedule for her so that she can hopefully recover into the future. Now, like I say, it was a bit early to take that pup off of her. I would have liked that leaf that it had to have opened up first, but I was very worried about the mother plant, and quite rightly, rot would have set in, so I'm happy I got it done today. If the baby survives, great. I'm more about saving the mother. Last job today is just topping up the parlour palm soil. This got knocked over a few weeks ago by a tradesman, and so I just need to top it up. And that will be it for today, guys. I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye bye.